I am just back from Stretford-Arndale, where I've been canvassing opinions from Manchester United fans on Brentford. We had a good tear up there in about 2000, one guy thought, but I was there and he meant Bradford. Is that the Eddie Howe one? I was asked before saying the word Bournemouth and pointing out he's not been manager there for about 5 years. And finally, the cycling guy who tried to help out Eric Ten Hag with marginal gains by hiring Dan Ashworth. No, that's Brailsford. Suffice it to say then that very few Reds have beef with the Bees. Let's see if David Lane can change that in this podcast. He's this episode's special guest along with Roy and Murph. Presumably Brentford fans have stronger opinions on Manchester United.
Never heard of you, to be honest with you, but I've heard of other Newcastle United. There's some other Uniteds around, but we're used to we've heard the Bradford one a lot. Brentwood in Essex is the one that normally gets our goat because everyone's heard of that and not our town. But I think we're on the map now. I think years in the lower leagues, but now we're in the top flight. I think everyone knows Brentford.
Well, Roy saw United play Brentford about 70 years ago, didn't you, Roy?
Just about.
Was it like 1949, was it?
Yeah, no, I can remember I've got the programme of the Youth Cup in 1952-3. First ever FA Youth Cup year. And they played each other in the semi-final, 2 legs. First leg was at Griffin Park, and it coincidentally with this Saturday, it was played at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning because Brentford reserves were playing in the afternoon. And United's team had Eddie Coleman, Duncan Edwards, David Pegg, Albert Scanlon in the youth team. And Brentford were the first team to take the lead against United in the Youth Cup. They were winning 1-0, and then at half-time, United made it 1-1. Brentford missed a penalty. It was 2-1 to United. And then the second leg the following Wednesday, it was peeing it down in Manchester, believe it or not, David.
Really?
And United won 6-0 and went on to win the FA Youth Cup. But the next time I bumped into Brentford was 1975, the League Cup. I actually saw that game. And you just mentioned Sammy McElroy and a guy. Brentford went in front just after half-time, and it was Tommy Doctor at Army there, 1975. And Sammy Mack and Lou Macari scored United's great try. I should know, and I should have double-checked, but I'm not sure if Stuart Houston played in that game or not. I think he might have done. Yeah, because he just got him. And I like Stuart Houston. He was a really decent, solid left-back. And that was it was a tragedy for him when he broke his ankle just before the cup final in 77. But look how young Arthur Albiston, 17, stood in and played against Keegan and all those, and was outstanding for United. But yeah, I like Stuart.
They nearly didn't exist, right? By that time, were Brentford nearly sort of taken over by QPR or something about it?
67 that was, but we were still struggling for survival pretty much for the next 20 years, really. Yeah, I mean, it was hand to mouth, and that didn't really change, to be honest, until Matthew Benham took over. Really, we did sort of go from one crisis to the next. It didn't get quite, threatened with non-league, but once or twice we were flirting with it. We had Leroy Rosinia as manager, and then we had Terry Butcher as manager, and they were dark days in the bottom tier. There was once where we were rattling buckets outside. I walked from Brentford to Hartlepool, to raise money for the club's survival, and we did like lots of walks. I mean, I'm still hobbling from there. It took 2 weeks. And, so people, not just me. There's hundreds of people that like put themselves on the line for the clubs. When you see what's happened now, and you see where we are, it's not a great start to the season, which we'll talk about, but it's it made all that hard work and all that sort of grueling walks worthwhile. We're still pinching ourselves, to be honest with you. It's a dream come true.
Now you just have to go to Manchester United or Newcastle, don't you, and get some money out of them.
Yeah, well, you realise that once you're once you're got, you're at the top table, the money that you get just from being there is incredible. 150 million plus. That's the minimum. You guys getting way more because you're huge. Your commercial operations dwarfs ours. You've got to do a pretty bad job to completely waste 150 million. And if you can get 3 or 4 years of that, plus sell some good players and not spend all of your income on replacements, then you should be in a healthy position. And I think we are. We just need to make sure that we get through what is a very turbulent summer and a very sort of uncertain start to the season under a new head coach. Players that have come in to replace people that helped us get to the top flight, and ones that have helped us cement our place here. So yeah, there's a lot going on at our club. And
how is that mood then, Dave? Because it's we try not to talk about too much football on here, but
kick football out of football.
Well, yeah, but Frank has obviously been massive to you and really well respected, and then Wissa I know less about, but I mean he's obviously a big target, and then Roy, do you want to have a go pronouncing Brian's surname yet?
No.
Right,
I still just call him Brian from Brentford. Sorry.
It's a big change, and you've got an unproven manager at this level as well. It's quite a brave choice. Are you knackered or what?
I don't think. Well, I don't know. It's still early. It's too early to know. I mean, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. It's something that I hope's going to be all right. But when people, the press and that kind of come and spoke to us when Keith Andrews was appointed, what do you think? What do you think he'll do a good job? And we're like, we don't know anything about him. The only people that know anything about him at all are the ones that gave him the job, like hired him in the first place. Phil Giles and Matt Benham, and the recruitment, the directors of football, the executive, the leaders, as it were. So they're the only ones that kind of saw why they brought him into the club in the first place, and they brought him in as a free kick coach. And that's not why they brought him in. They'd seen him for some time, looking back at interviews and hearing what the director of football says about Keith Andrews. They pinpointed him as someone they thought had a big future in coaching, and they brought him in so they could take a closer look. And I don't think they expected him to be the direct replacement to Thomas Frank when he went. I think there was other people in the mix, but they went with Thomas to Tottenham. So it kind of left us in a situation where we either recruited from within or we looked elsewhere. Brentford's runs so differently to pretty much any other football club that for someone to come in, and they would want to bring their own staff in, they would want to bring their own coaches and whatever, and that's not how we're run. So it's literally a head coach role, and the recruitment's not done or not. So obviously the head coach is kind of consulted at some stage, but the Brentford data, the Matthew Benham, smart odds, backrooms, analysts, people that have been, instrumental in finding the players that have got us here. The head coach doesn't get involved in that. So Keith Andrews, you could kind of understand why they chose him, because he was privy to everything else. He was an insider. It wasn't just a risk of bringing someone from the outside in, and having 6 months probably to acclimatise. But the question is now whether he's got the experience at this level. Saturday night suggests that probably he hasn't, but we've literally had good game, bad game, good game, average game, good game, crap game, and it's we don't seem to have an identity either. There's no kind of football philosophy, it would seem. We're playing long throw-ins, big punts up the pitch to a centre forward that can't seem to win a header, and it's kind of a bit concerning. But we played really, really well against Chelsea. We played really, really well down in Bournemouth, and we've done okay in 2 games we played against Villa. So Villa have had a pretty average start as well, but they're no mugs. So there's been sort of green shoots, but then there's been kind of like dog's mess as well. So it's been a mixed start for sure.
It's a lovely image. It would be great after this weekend to see an Irish manager succeed, I think, in the Prem. And Murph, I'll tell you what, he's got the best accent of all the managers.
So I missed out for that, mate. Sorry, what you say?
He's like an Irish Thomas Frank. He's got the same hair and the same big ears. He's they're out the same mould, but from different parts of Europe. Yeah, it's incredible.
Murph, I was saying he's got a great accent, and it would be great to see an Irish manager succeed in the Prem.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, you know what? My signal went a bit snide. I was wondering if you could interject with something else. Obviously, you're a long-standing Brentford fan, and you moved from Griffin Park, I think it was in 2019 or 2020. Now, I know a lot of football supporters who, like, from particularly the east side of London, who are really upset about the move from, like, the bowling ground to the Olympic Stadium. Over our side, City fans lament the move from Main Road to the Eastlands. How do you feel about the move from Griffin Park to the community stadium? Has it affected the club in any way? Has it affected how the fans are? Or are you happy with it? Or how people around you about it?
It's been pretty seamless, I have to admit. It coincided with us getting promoted to the top flight. The real sad thing was we didn't get a chance to say goodbye to the old girl. You know, Griffin Park was obviously it was tired. The old girl was past her best for sure, and not equipped for Premier League football. You know, we all saw the reasons for it, and it was sold to us. Not that it needed to be sold; it was quite obvious, but it enabled us to be able to sort of compete and qualify for the Premier League and all the criteria and the ground and the media and all that kind of stuff you need. So yeah, because of COVID, we had big plans to say goodbye. I produced the Griffin Park official book, big 400-page coffee table book, which it was the whole of the history of Griffin Park that was produced. And we obviously, as we went into lockdown, we were kind of just about to ramp up the waving goodbye. So the last game anyone ever saw at Griffin Park was a 5-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday. So, and there was talk of lockdown at that stage, and because we were leaving at the end of the season, we kind of thought, well, this could be the last time, and that's the way it transpired. And that's the end of that season. We failed in the playoffs at Wembley, and Fulham beat us. And then the next season, we were in the new stadium and we went up, but that was without fans. We got to the playoffs, and then I think it was the first time there was like 4,000 allowed in or whatever. It coincides with happy times, to be honest. So, I know that, it's always going to be traumatic. Generation upon generation of fans are kind of wrapped up, memories and kind of emotions are wrapped up in the stadium itself. So it was always going to be a kind of a traumatic experience, as I just said. But the fact that we got promoted and the first game that we were all allowed back into the new stadium, we beat Arsenal 2-0 on that magical Friday. So it was kind of like, okay, that's parked. We're in a new place. The stadium was rocking, and it's good. It's a good stadium. It's a small stadium, 17,500. But it's good and it's big enough for us, to be honest. It's full every game. It's not full of like another 30,000 of kind of just Johnny-come-latelys or people that really don't give a stuff about us. Like a Fulham, you get a neutral stand. It's pathetic. The people that come in want to be there for us, and we can grow perhaps. People smirk. 17,500, but it's a good stadium. The fact that it's so vociferous and loud and tight still, it means that the atmosphere is good, and our record at home is excellent, and hopefully it could make the difference this year in keeping us up. The home record is going to be pivotal.
You say Fulham. One of the great things I like about Fulham are the pubs nearby. Fulham's a fantastic away trip from our perspective. United fans is probably one of the favourite away trips, certainly in London. QPR is a decent one as well, because there's some decent pubs around Shepherd's Bush. What's the score around Brentford for boozers? Is it a good, healthy place for Red to go and have a few pints on Saturday or Friday night?
It knocks the other two into the river. To be honest, I'd say it's the best place in London to drink before the game. Strand on the Green. There's a strip from Kew Bridge all the way down the river. Fulham itself is rubbish, but the Putney's all right. But that's not Fulham. In Brentford, you've probably got 30 pubs. and every single one of them is like away fan friendly. Wear your colours, don't come in and take liberties and sing big songs and whatever. Come in, chat to the home fans. Everyone wants to know and talk and chalk football. I know it's an early kickoff, but afters is fine. Yeah, walk along the Strand on the Green is stunning. It's the best part of the river. It's right on the riverbank, and there's 5 pubs there. Express Tavern, and then the one over the 8. It's spelled AIT. It's like one over the island river, the River Island. That's exactly where Brentford was founded, 1889. There was a pub there called the Oxford in Cambridge, which isn't there anymore, but there's a plaque, and that's literally, you could throw a stone from that river arch to the new stadium. So we're right back where we started, and that's part of why leaving Griffin Park was kind of like, it was such a kind of easy-ish transition. So where the history all aligns as well. So it's if you're coming down Murph, get down to the Steam Packet. It's where we drink, and it's a great pub. And from there, you've got another 4 pubs within 150 yards, and you can just have really good beer and really good food in any of them, and you're within, even furthest away, you're still half a mile away from the ground. So get down there, walk over Kew Bridge, Kew Green, all the way to Kew Gardens. There's another 5 pubs across the river. And if you do go across the river, look at Kew Bridge. There's still Messerschmitt bullet holes in the side of the bridge where they use the Middlesex crest as target practice on the way back out of London. So it's like steeped in history. It's fascinating. So see all that before you get pissed.
Dave Lane there of the Beesotted fanzine and the West London Tourist Office. It's great to be able to offer this service so we don't have to Google it as well. And it's really good to hear that you're talking about the stadium in such positive terms as well, because most of the new ones are absolutely shite. But anyway, if you want more of Murph's mad connection issues and Roy not being able to pronounce the names of Manchester United players, social media yourself stupid by searching Cream of Manchester on all the socials. You can email us at creamofmanchester1878@gmail.com, and we will link you to Dave's books if you want. For Brentford fans, I think I'm right in saying that's Cult Bees and Legends 3. Is that your latest one?
That's the one that's coming out at Christmas.
Right, I want to ask you if Burmo's in there, especially for Roy and for Reds. That was quick. There's something else as well that's of interest to United fans.
Brian Mbumo's not in that. We get Pontus Jansson's in it. That was quite a coup for us. No, I don't think there's any Man United related stuff in this.
You've got the 70s book, Dave. You've got the 70s book.
Well, I mean, I was fortunate enough to work with you and Carl on this absolute thing of beauty. It's one of the proudest things that I've produced. We did the Brentford version, Brentford book of the 70s, 80s and 90s, and the Man United book of the 70s is stunning, and especially these ones that have got signatures with Lou Macari and Sammy McElroy and Joe Jordan. So exclusive for your listeners, watchers, readers. If they go to the Legends Publishing website, I'll put 10 signed copies aside. So if they buy this book, they get a signed one by the Man United players. So go. I'll give you the link, but that's an exclusive for your lot. Sorry?
How much are they?
They're £2,000, Murph.
Right. Okay. Send me a dozen.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll upgrade that. So we will put that in look for the link in the show notes. And for my AI assistant, please put that link in the show notes.
Yeah, but the Brentford books, something they're a labour of love. I've been putting my heart and soul into those for 20 years, and it's kind of been a catalyst then to kind of what works at our club will work for another club, and you meet some incredible people like Roy and Carl, as I said.
I finished writing every single match report for Manchester United in the 1970s. Everyone, every League Cup, all the friendlies. We did 76 biographies, reserves, every youth cup. And the book is made by the pictures. So, I mean, to get some of the stunning coloured pictures that, they managed to get is quite incredible, really.
No, it's the thing of beauty, And
Martin Buchan did the foreword, and you'll know this, Andrew, well, but, when you go and ask someone to do the forward, you generally write it for them, give it over, they have a quick look, say, yeah, that looks all right. But Martin Buchan says to me, now I'll do the forward, but it's in my words. And he did about 3,000 word forward. And I said, you're going to have a book in you, Martin. And he said, no, this is the closest anybody will get to a book by me. And he's quite open what he says about the treatment of Old Farrell, what he thought about Dave Sexton, because he, like Macari, thought Sexton was a magnificent coach. Tommy Dock, of course. And there's one or two who wouldn't be on his Christmas list, but Buchan wrote a fabulous forward on the book, and he also mentioned a guy who's got links with Brentford and United, and that was Paddy Roach. And because he's in the 70s book as a United player, and I said, well, Paddy, what do you reckon? He said, well, Tommy Docherty was going to play him at the beginning of the season, the first match. His dad playing Red Star Belgrade in a friendly, and Paddy Roach, his dad, passed away. So Stepney came in for that game and then played the first 10 or 15 games. And then he made a mistake in one of the matches, and Docherty brought Paddy Roach in. But the games he brought him in were Arsenal away, Liverpool away, City away, and in each of them there was mistakes. But Buchan said to me, in two of them, he said Brian Greenough just banged into him. Now, he said perhaps a more experienced goalie would have told him where to go. He said, but, he banged in, the ball bounced and whatever. He said, but he was a top bloke. And he said he knocked spots off Gary Bailey for me. And
he was much maligned, wasn't he? And it just shows you the spotlight if you play for Manchester United that he's kind of remembered now. And these guys have families and would have been the best keeper at the school, the best keeper in the county, the best keeper in the country. They get to Manchester United and then suddenly, they're absolutely terrible after judging off, a handful of games.
Yeah, and then when he came to our place as well, I think he had that kind of reputation as kind of a bit of error kind of strewn. Yeah, he was all right. He was fine. I never like comparing players from different eras, but he's very, very, very different to a modern goalkeeper. Let's put it that way. He was very much an old-fashioned goalie. I'm not sure whether he could come out and do what David Raya does and kind of spray balls for 80 yards and do pitch perfect, passes and throws and stuff. But yeah, he was a proper character. And he turned up. I did the Brentford book of the 80s, and he came to the book launch of that. And he was very much into the kind of the memories. He enjoyed his time at Brentford, and obviously doesn't compare to the magnitude of the two clubs, but I think he just enjoyed playing football, and his stories were fascinating.
You were talking before, Dave, about the running of the club and the structure and how content Brentford fans appear to be about it. I want to run you back a little bit here to a fellow called Ron Notes. Now, United fans of a certain vintage, myself included, are quite familiar with Ron Notes in the late 80s, early 90s, where he was always whinging about United's allocation for matches at Wembley. And he was, I don't remember having a very good opinion of Ron Nodes. How do you remember Ron Nodes as running Brentford?
Not good to speak ill of the dead, is it?
I haven't got
I haven't got a good word to say about him, to be honest with you. He was a cantankerous old bastard. And I met him several times. He came in and he ran up an incredible credit card bill, which he was never ever going to pay himself. And he came in and he spent best part of £1 million, which was a lot of money at the time for League 3, like bottom tier, on Herman Hreiderson. And he bought, Lloyd Owusu, and he did bring some good players in, but at the time, we didn't really ask who's going to pay for this. When he realised that we weren't going to get stadium move as quickly or as easily as he thought, he started to threaten the local authority, and he started to threaten us as fans that he was going to move us to Woking, which is up the road from me. Yeah, he tried to move us to some Dust Bowl in Feltham. There was talk of us going to Bedfont, which is right under the flight path at Heathrow, literally where the planes land at Heathrow. And it was all cloak and dagger stuff. And then in the end, he threw all his toys out of the pram. He's paying the bills. There was talk of administration. He was trying to kind of do what he did in the early days, was like buy up clubs to sell their grounds really and make money and flip them. I've not got. I mean, I thank him for getting us out of the bottom tier. Season was I think it was 89, 88, 98, 99 or 99, 90, 99, 90 it was. And Lloyd Owusu scored the winning goal at Cambridge away, and we went up as champions. And that was a great season. But after that, the wheels come off, and he saddled us with a huge amount of debt, and that almost killed us. So yeah, not really got a good word to say about him.
Such a good job that strong regulation and accountability has stopped all the spivs in football now, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
all the bad characters are not there anymore. Unless there's any other business gentlemen, I shall say thank you to you all, Murph and Roy, and especially Dave. Again, we will put the link to that book and the special signed copies of it that Dave's promising there in the show notes if you look at that on YouTube and Spotify if I can get that working again. Don't know what's happened, but presumably they'll all just turn up at once like the proverbial London buses that Dave no doubt knows so much about. We're all off to catch a train though to Bournemouth and Bradford and Dave Brailsford's house just for a big laugh. If we can actually make it to Brentford after all that, we might witness a topically unheard of spectacle of 2 consecutive wins for Manchester United. Let's see what the weekend brings then. Mind the trams.